Um, so my understanding, we're live by the way. My understanding is that Mishimono is just like career DOU player.
Okay.
So,
Did you play the invitation?
he was not in. I don't think he qualified for the Invitational. But like, my expectation is that that's because of lack of trying, not because of lack of skill. But I can
Yeah.
check. Um, how's your team doing this week?
Uh, plus 7.5, like 47K.
What?
But I mean, Trump Flash PR.
Oh, Charm Flash. Oh, Charm Flash is on your guys' team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a disgusting game. I was
That was so fucking wild.
I was confused by a lot of what was going on.
Did you not love Landers?
What happened?
Did you not love the Landers switch into the ice beam?
Um yeah, that was quite good. I thought that the ice beam was like the problem is that those plays are hard to like recognize as remarkable because it's like, well, either he does or he doesn't.
Oh yeah, it was just great because you had the Rotom Wash, and it just also without damage.
Okay. Oh, I like
So yeah, I
Lightcore's
think you
team.
probably have Twitch open, which is causing that echo.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, the problem is that Macs have like this hard problem with sound and so forth.
No worries.
I'm gonna get it fixed soon. Uh, so yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good position to talk about the team on the bottom. Are you in the game?
I am in the game.
So I'm in a pretty good position to talk about the team on the bottom because I built it, but not a good position to talk about the team on the top. Bias speaking here, but I think Lightcore has a matchup. The team has problems with Genesis.
Like team on top looks just standard good stuff. It has better physics now.
Yeah, so the thing about the team on the bottom is that so I built this team. It's like a Tailwind Charizard with Heat Wave Overheat, Protect, Scarf Rocks Lando, Heal Pulse Toxic Chansey, Support Feeny with Defog. It's I think he has Sub Kartana. My Kartana is currently Tailwind on this team, and the Kyurem is Z Freeze Shock with Roost, and Icy Wind. So Kyurem puts in a ton of work against this team, except for the Charizard and the Genesect. The problem with Genesect is that you have to play like a certain amount aggressively around it, because Genesect's just going to be like you like pressuring all of your Pokemon, and so you have to like figure out if it's U-turning, when you can switch your Charizard in. But I think Chansey should be able to put enough work in for Lightcore that he can pull through.
I feel like the things that I noticed are making pretty much impossible breakthrough. Breakthrough and
What's up?
the Kyurem, Abafini, and Chansey are all very through by it. And that gives like what I feel is advantage due to being able to make more use out of.
Well, considering this lead, I don't think he has advantage anymore. I think this lead is so bad that that Mishiimono should have advantage.
Well, Liners has to switch out, right? The hard switching to either chance.
Well, it does, but also it doesn't. It's like that's the problem when you're fighting Genesect, right? And that's why I probably would have led Charizard into this. Because Mishiimono has one fire resist and also Tapu Fini, and Tapu Fini doesn't do anything to Charizard.
Does Kyurem knock out Charizard?
I'm not sure if it does, especially if Mishiimono U-turns into Landorus, and especially and like.
Yes, but I think it might.
especially if Mishimono U-turns into Landers. But also, I'm just worried about the potential double up into the Kyurem, which will KO it.
Oh yeah, Kirim is
Kyurem's pretty bulky, but it doesn't resist fire. So Lightcore hasn't switched out the Landorus and does catch the U-turn. So that should be a Charizard coming in for Mishimono. And if Lightcore can capitalize on precisely this play, he should be fine. Oh, he might still have Stone Edge on his version. I switched it to Rock Slide because Stone Edge sucked. But he might still have Stone Edge, and that will mean he wins the game.
Well, yeah, that was a very silly turn.
Yeah, so that's
Just didn't expect what Landers could do and didn't take the free damage when he had the opportunity.
Yeah, so I think Mishimono probably should have just gone for Ice Beam, said, like, look, you fusion bolt.
Really
like,
taking an Ice Beam well that wants to be up against Charizard.
Yeah, I mean, like, Chansey, right? Chansey is the Pokemon that can do it. But I think that it was just kind of greedy.
You want to have Kyurem Chansey out at that point, because that's really early, and that just lets the top start to gain momentum.
I don't know. I think Chansey switch in would have been like very reasonable if Mishimono had gone for Ice Beam, but Lightcore managed to capitalize on precisely the play that Mishimono was going to make, because Genesect always wants to U-turn. It's like Scarf Landorus on Coco. You almost always want to U-turn because they always switch out, but sometimes you catch them out on what they're doing instead of what they should be doing. So, really strong play from Nick. This game should probably just be over, especially after that play. Oh my god. Now there's no rocks coming out from Mishimono's team, so Mishimono only has really Zygarde and Zapdos to beat Charizard, and Zapdos does, and he has no real answers to Z Freeze Shock anymore.
I think Mishimono is about to ask for game 2.
That's my feeling. Yeah, sometimes you gotta go for big plays turn 1 with this team.
Well, the thing is that Nick didn't have too much for that. He would have lost a Landers, which isn't high value in this matchup.
So here, I want to go for Icy Wind and Heal Pulse on my Kyurem.
Yeah, Kyurem, Chansey is taking enough damage here. Kyurem, you want to go insane.
Yeah, and so I'm
not... You want to go make Tapu Fini unable to go set up.
Well, I don't think you actually want to make Tapu Fini unable to set up. I think you want to pressure the Zygarde switch in. But Mishimono, correctly recognizing that Kyurem's not going to switch out, doesn't really have switch-ins, takes it out with a combination of Ice Beam and Moonblast. And Lightcore does go for the Heal Pulse, but isn't able to get it off.
I just brings in Charizard here, or does he go...
It's Charizard. It's definitely Charizard. Because your only other switch in here is Kartana, because Kartana beats Fini, but Charizard also beats Tapu Fini. So here I want to switch my Chansey into Landorus.
Like Zygarde?
Yes, precisely to beat the Zygarde switch in. So if I'm Mishimono, I'm thinking, well, I need to save my Genesect because it beats all these Pokemon. So I need to get in my Zygarde to potentially win this game. And so Lightcore's Chansey, I think, slower than the Genesect because it's Scarf. And so you want to switch into Landorus. It comes in second. You get to Earthquake on the Zygarde that's come in. I think it'll be pretty strong. But losing that Kyurem was actually a really big deal. I think that Lightcore... it's the play that I was suggesting making, but in retrospect, I think it was really, really weak, and Lightcore should have been preserving his Kyurem.
I did not know that Ice Blast would get the knockout.
I did not either, but I think in retrospect we probably should have.
I don't know my Kyurem Black calcs at the moment.
Well, it's also the +1 on the Genesect, right?
Well, Genesect is pretty strong.
Genesect is really strong.
I just assumed that Tapu Fini... Well, this kind of implies that Tapu Fini not bulk invested.
Yeah, it felt like an offensive Tapu Fini, but I don't know. I feel like Fini Moonblast doing 56 is...
It might the
Okay, so there's a Zygarde switch in. Does Chansey switch out? Chansey does switch out into the Landorus. So, good play from Lightcore. And does Mega Evolve the Charizard, just putting out the Heat Wave damage. It does so much.
I actually feel as though this is in favor right now. Just due to getting the type of fit Calm Mind off first, and Sun is about to end for switches. And he also has Zapdos.
Well, so it depends on whether the Zygarde has Protect. So if I'm Lightcore here, I think I want to U-turn. So Lightcore wants to get Kartana in this turn. So Feeny dies to Earthquake plus Overheat here, right? That's like the level 1 play.
It does not die to Earthquake plus Overheat here.
Oh, because it's a +1 special defense.
Yeah. And also Tapu Fini this as an attack and bring in Zapdos problem.
So yeah, maybe you... Oh, no. You just Tailwind with Charizard and you Earthquake here, right?
What?
You just Tailwind with Charizard and you Earthquake. Earthquake 2 shots Feeny, right?
I think you would just Heat Wave and Earthquake.
No, because Heat Wave, because I don't think Heat Wave puts it into
I don't know what you do.
So the reason I want a Tailwind, the reason I want a Tailwind is because it puts you in a position of aggression against the Zapdos in the back, and it allows you to switch in your Kartana a lot more safely.
That's reasonable.
And so there are a couple of things I want to do here. So one, I want to switch my Landorus out. So maybe you switch Landorus out and Tailwind.
Want to go,
but he does go for the Earthquake. And just the Heat Wave. I really don't like that play. Activating Feeny's Berry feels really greedy.
Trading everything for that, and I don't feel like he got enough value out of it.
Yeah. And Feeny just Muddy Waters. Lando tanks, and Landorus will not be going down to a...
I also don't like the fact that he didn't tag here the last turn.
The last turn of Sun, yeah.
It just feels like a wasted opportunity. Because now there's really no pressure.
So here, I expect Mishiimono to switch Zygarde, so that I don't know what that damage was. It kind of looks like band damage, considering that Zygarde's at -1, and it's on Charizard team.
There was also no berry.
There's also no berry, but it could be Z.
That damage, though, was a lot older,
so... So I'm expecting Lightcore to go for Earthquake here and Tailwind and sack the Landorus. But he could preserve Landorus, go into Chansey and Tailwind. That's something I also would like to see. On later versions of this team...
Probably goes to Muddy Water and Zapdos.
Yeah.
Then it'll be a Choice Band Zygarde to end with the Genesect.
So, yeah, I think Landorus into Kartana and Tailwind is, correct. But he went Landorus into Chansey. Chansey takes a lot less damage. Again. I don't know. The arrows was kind of suspect in my mind.
Yeah.
So this Kartana should be substitute. And so Lightcore might get a few chances to capitalize on the fact that he has that. I think Lightcore kind of, I don't know. I feel like the turn 5 when Lightcore went for Heat Wave was, a bit too aggressive. I think that getting in Kartana on the Landorus or Charizard slot on turn 5 would have been really good, because you really want to preserve your Charizard to beat the Genesect. That's really important. And it's also important because Feeny didn't... It's also really important because Feeny can't protect... what am I saying? Because there's no Intimidate, so Feeny was in range for... Feeny was at, roughly 70%. It was at 77%. So that's going to be in range for Leaf Blade. So I think that getting Kartana in on that turn would have been really, really good. But Mishiimono sacrificing the Calm Mind because he knows that he has Genesect in back, which does enough of the work now that Charizard's gone. Very smart play. I kind of would have liked to see Lightcore go for a Toxic on turn 7.
Yep.
And potentially Toxic and...
He wanted to force the Zygarde to stay in.
Yeah, so...
He could have gone for a double target with the Sick on that slot.
Yep.
Would have just gotten either +1 Kartana or and or poison zapped it.
Okay, so here I'm expecting I was not expecting that. So Genesect managed to Genesect sacked itself. Mishiimono sacked Zygarde to allow Genesect an extra turn in after Kartana is protected. Zapdos should be faster than Tapu Fini, so it can do a ton of damage here. But Chansey is in a really good position to take this whole game if Lightcore can get it in safely. And I think unless Mishiimono has to double the Kartana slot in order to really threaten the Chansey, and he doesn't, U-turns. Will Lightcore punish this? He will not.
The Kartana goes down, and now the Chansey is leaving itself open, getting Ironhead.
I mean, it can get Ironhead flinched, but honestly, that's alright.
It goes for the soft boiled now, though.
Yes. So here's the thing. Mishiimono is always double targeting down Lightcore's Fini, unless he. Yes, there's the Thunderbolt. Just outside of range. Chansey heals itself back up to full, so it's going to be Chansey versus the world here. Can Chansey take it? We'll have to find out. I feel like Lightcore really did throw this game, though. I think the Charizard... I think, the
Charizard Landers, how he went and played that.
It was the...
Yeah, it was with Finny, and it was just... The whole game, they needed to play around Tapu Fini more. They didn't even attempt to set up Tapu Fini.
Who?
Nick didn't try to set
He doesn't have setup. He doesn't have Calm Mind on his Fini.
What Fini said?
It's Defog Taunt.
Oh. Then he should have tried to go use Fini earlier to just block out a chance to set up.
No, what he should have been...
I don't know what should have happened then.
No. So I'm telling you, as a guy who's played this team, he's supposed to be preserving his... he was supposed to preserve his Charizard. You have one Genesect answer on the entire team, and it's Charizard. And you need to preserve it. Oh yeah, this game is just over. This game's just over.
It has to stop boiling.
Ironhead just does too much. Because Genesect got the attack boost. Yeah, there's going to be a flinch eventually, and Nick just goes for the seismic toss, recognizes that it's over. I really think that this was thrown.
Got the KO turn 1 on the Charizard.
Yeah.
That should have been big advantage. He didn't get the Z move. He didn't use his own. He could have went and said that I'm going to use Tailwind to get my Z move off and eliminate your cat play.
Yeah, I'm fine with the sack. I'm fine with the Kyurem getting KO'd on that turn. I think that I'm fine with the Kyurem getting KO'd. But I think a Fini switch in there would have been far better, right? Because the position was such that Lightcore could have gone into Fini and just seismic tossed pretty much for free. It was turn 3, yeah. So Fini was in.
Well, they're in game 2 right now, by the way.
I know. So these are two pretty known teams. Mishimono's team was used by Croven to help him get second at the Invitational. Lightcore's team was used by Stax and myself to go to get really strong records in DLT. I lost with it in Snake. I think Stax won with it in Snake. But it's just a really strong team that was built for the Gengar format, but it has managed to hold up pretty well.
When did respond one better Megas? I don't know how great it is right now. I feel like it hasn't played nearly as well nowadays.
So I think that the double Intimidate core is going to be really important, and the question is also what the Gastrodon set is. So Lightcore has three Pokemon that can hit Gastrodon. He has Feeny, Kartana, and Zygarde. And if Gastrodon, gets Ice moves out on the Zygarde at the appropriate times, it's going to be real tough for Nick to win.
So my question: what does Nick have for the Megalodios?
Snarl is like a genuinely really good against Mega Latias. If Latias is at -1, you can ignore it. And
yeah, but Nick's Lightcore is full of a lot of, so to speak, nothing Pokemon. The Mew isn't going to be doing any damage. Manectric won't be doing any damage. Like, it kind of just forces everything into situations where no Pokemon cares about what the other is doing. And I think that in those six positions, it looks like you might take an edge off on that, just a little bit of extra damage. Right now,
potentially. I'm not so sure about that. Okay, so this should be that was an Ice Beam.
It's not over, but like Zygarde just gets so much mileage out.
No, this is over, and Mishiimono wins.
Right now?
Yes.
Gastrodon has an ice.
Gastrodon has an Ice move, but also the Mew is actually the most important Pokemon on this team.
Oh yeah, it is. It's the only good way you have to like position effect. Also, yeah. He didn't go for Stealth Rocks.
He didn't go for Stealth Rocks, and he didn't go for Tailwind. He went for Ice Beam, and that's really, really bad for Nick. Here's why. Zygarde is the way this team deals its damage. You just kind of get your Choice Band Zygarde in, you click 1,000 Arrows a few times, you get like a second Tailwind up.
1,000 Arrows.
Yeah. Tailwind 1,000 Arrows is like the early game of this team. But it's also...
1,000 Arrows set up the top of Vinny, and if he goes...
But hold on. It's also really important, from experience with playing this team, the first Tailwind's good, but the second Tailwind ends the game. If you can't get this... Yes, a little bit. But with a lot more options to play outside of Tailwind. Because you have the Mega Manectric. But as it stands, it's really hard for this team to deal with Tapu Koko if your Zygarde isn't outspeeding them. And so, yeah, Lightcore is going to switch out into Incineroar. And Mishiimono is getting out everyone's switching around, but it's going to be really hard for Lightcore to win this early game because he's so far behind. Because his Mew is taken out, and his Pokemon aren't that fast. What's bad?
He didn't even get intimidated on the Landorus.
Well, we don't know if the Landorus is we don't know if
the... power, yeah, but he doesn't have any footage either.
There are no grounding moves.
You take the Calm Mind opportunity, but you know how much damage that is right now? He kind of just needs to go for what's on the Gastrodon switch.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Gastrodon switch into Kartana and thinking it's real juicy if I'm Mishiimono. It looks super safe.
It's the only way that Nick wins by that happening and calling.
Well, I don't know. There are probably other ways to win. So the Koko switch in on the Landorus slot is also really strong.
Yeah, well...
And Nick does recognize the potential for Kartana to switch in. Mishiimono just gets that recover off, plays it real safe. I think that was really smart.
Still would have liked to get Calm Mind on the Finny because not having Calm Mind.
Yeah, no, Feeny was supposed to see him there. Well, no, Feeny could have targeted down the Landorus slot, but Feeny Calm Minding feels really greedy because it doesn't do anything for the next few turns. Because Kartana, because Mishiimono is just switching to a Pokemon that beats Tapu Fini.
If he goes and prevents Kartana from getting him safely, the Calm Mind would have been pretty fine to get. And then you would have Fini off a position where you still have the pivoting available, stacking the Mew could actually for Momentum, for example.
So the Gleam there was...
If you had the Calm Mind earlier, it would be...
Yeah, this would have just been a lot better if there was a Calm Mind already up, but the special defense drop means that Lightcore's not in... Oh, and so Mishimono gleams because he's scared of the Manectric, but Lightcore preserves the Manectric for later. We know from earlier that this Moonblast only does 40% to the Gastrodon, so definitely gonna probably put it into its berry activation range.
So, question about it.
Yeah.
Why does it have slow Incineroar with Tail Mute?
Why does it have slow Incineroar with Tail Mute? Because the second U-turn is actually amazing on this team.
It's more valuable than getting Kartana.
Yes.
Okay, that was kind of my question about the team that I was trying to get an answer for because it's not optimal against Kartana.
The slow Tailwind is phenomenal. I've thought about raising the speed, but it really hasn't been that much of an issue for me. So the way you beat Kartana is you have a double Intimidate core, you have Overheat with your Manectric, you have your own Kartana that you guys sub up first, you have Tailwind, and you put your Zygarde... Hold up. You just saw that, right?
Where he just snarled plus and then covered for exact thing.
No, actually, where the Gastrodon didn't have a Super Citrus Berry or leftovers.
It's probably Z-move.
Yes.
I was going to... I kind of assumed it's Z-move.
On other versions of this team, it was Substitute Gastrodon with leftovers. So that's what I was expecting. Yeah, it was really cool. It performed really well in a bunch of games that it was brought.
Yeah, there was a decent bit of rain in the invitation from what I saw.
Yeah, the guy who won seemed to just kind of cheese every single one of his games.
Yeah.
I mean, cheese is strong in best of one. And so, like, we're correctly noticing that Manectric doesn't feel that comfortable in here, and that he's unlikely to get Icy Winded.
Well, what else would Gastrodon have?
Gastrodon's either recovering or Tech Raging the Manectric here.
Oh yeah, there's no Ground Resist.
So you can go into Zygarde here, and then you have your Choice Band E-Speed set up, which allows you to set up for a second Calm Mind. You could also switch into Manectric and Thousand Arrows here. Those are the two plays I'd be looking at. This Fini play from Lightcore was pretty mediocre. I think that the turn that Lightcore went for Moonblast, that was on turn 3, really should have been a Calm Mind. And then the turn Lightcore went for Calm Mind, a reasonable argument that it should have been a Moonblast. So here's the Manectric switch in from Lightcore, correctly identifying that he needs to switch in a Pokemon to take this electric move from the Tapu Fini. We'll see how much damage this Zygarde is able to do at -1. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Yeah, and it was Icy Wind from the Gastrodon this turn. Just, putting the damage in the spots. And this looks pretty over.
Well, we're about to find out what kind of person.
That's fair, but Manectric has to switch out here, right?
I would have liked more turn.
That's fair. Incineroar does take Incineroar takes more from the electric moves, but Manectric is more important to the overall game plan. So I think preserving Manectric might have been better.
Having to make out a U-turn option available.
And also we knew that Mishiimono was going for Volt Switch, and bringing Manectric into the Volt Switch into Landorus is really awkward. Manectric doesn't have a chance to leave the field. I actually might have liked Mishiimono to just go into Latias to try and bait Manectric to stay in. You take a bit more damage on your Gastrodon, you take some chip on your Latias, but Latias is going to have a lot of chances to recover versus this team. And you might be able to bait the Manectric to stay in, which I think would have been quite amusing. But the Landorus switch is just obviously... What's up?
I'm going to go and see how could Nick get KOs that just go for negative overall in his trade.
Without what?
Without going for negative in his trade.
Yes. His trades are just all terrible.
Like, you need to go get get Cartana in, get Tapu Fini in, somehow get another talent that he doesn't have on Cartana.
Yes. Getting the
unless he put Tailwind on Cartana, in which
you're
case
not
he
supposed to
might
put.
have a
If you put Tailwind on Cartana, this game is super over. Because Cartana. If Cartana's not behind a substitute, it doesn't beat Incineroar, and Cartana beating Incineroar is actually quite nice for this team.
Yes. Like, it solves all that lets you actually roll a game. Like, I completely agree. It makes Cartana much, much stronger. It's just that Lightcore needs to play around the top of Finny. Otherwise, he has nothing to beat the Latias.
So Lightcore turned on timer, so we know who's been causing this delay. So Lightcore is gonna sack his Mew, most likely.
Oh.
I'm not sure I like that play from Mishiimono. I don't really understand it.
Did he just give up a Tailwind?
Well, so Mew didn't die.
Stealth Rocks right now, that's it.
Yeah, the turn 1 Ice Beam was very questionable.
But he gets to just Ice Beam now?
So Mew
is... needs to Ice Beam to prevent Stealth Rock.
From... Wait, who needs to Ice Beam?
Wait, no. Landorus is Scarf.
Do we know that it's Scarf?
I don't know, like, what kind of Landorus runs Ice? Not Hidden Power Ice.
Any Landorus can honestly run Hidden Power Ice. I would normally expect... So, like, Landorus runs a ground move, Stealth Rocks, and then whatever else you want. Probably U-turn. But Landorus didn't U-turn turn 1, so this Landorus might not have U-turn.
Oh, he's probably not Choice Scarf, because that was the one he gives him.
Yeah.
Probably has. Go for the Ice Beam on the Landorus here.
I'm not sure I like that. Yeah, this Cartana switch seems kind of strong. And then Ice Beam on the Zygarde, make sure that thing goes away. And Mew gets a Tailwind off, so somehow Lightcore managed to get the Tailwind in this game.
Yeah, but there's still the Cartana.
Yeah, the Cartana's up, and it's scary. I don't know what the Cartana set is. There are a lot of different Cartana sets this could be. It could be Sub, it could be Tailwind, it could be... It's not Z, right? Because the Gastrodon's Z?
Another question.
Oh, the Gastrodon... No, the Gastrodon was... Oh, no. I've seen Expert Belt Gastrodon, maybe?
Could be. Other way, question is, what does Mew have that because it's going for a U-turn?
So Mew... Okay, so there's the Incineroar switch in before Cartana substitutes. Cartana protects Mew. Ice Beams the Cartana to try and do some chip, and Latias just gets the safe recover off. So I think that went really poorly for Lightcore.
Also, Vince took slow.
And yeah, that should just end the game, right? Like, I don't know what Lightcore does against a switch into Incineroar and an Ice Beam into the Mew. Ice Beam might not KO.
Switching out Incineroar and Neutron.
So you switch out Incineroar and then switch back into Incineroar? I don't know, he's just burning his own Tailwind turns, right?
Nothing you benefit.
Like, he set up
There's
Tailwind
nothing
and,
that
like, good for him, but honestly, it would have been better if he set up Stealth Rocks on turn 9. Like, Stealth Rocks would have actually done something.
Stealth damage just that high of there's nothing that can.
Yo, Anosh, how do you feel about Stealth Rocks being good in Doubles OU? Does it make you happy?
I love it.
I knew you were advocating for...
using Stealth Rocks in VGC for you to tell me no.
I mean, Stealth Rocks was really bad in VGC. I think, like, also people weren't running Stealth Rocks in Gen 6 DOU. But, like, I think what's really changed the prevalence of Stealth Rocks is the amount of Incineroar that are on every team. Incineroar is the Pokemon that I'm really clicking Stealth Rocks to beat. Because Incineroar wants to switch in and switch in and switch in. Never wants to stay on the field. And it takes 25% each time. And it's normally so bulky, but whenever Incineroar switches in, it just dies to Stealth Rocks. So I'm not even sure people were really running Stealth Rocks until Incineroar became a Pokemon. But once it did, you know, that's when Stealth Rocks usage picked up. That's when Stealth Rocks win rate picked up. And Lightcore didn't switch out his Incineroar.
Pretty decent in previous years. I always felt as though Stealth Rocks covering Pokemon like Charizard being able to get expected, putting more pressure on them.
And here's what you were talking about, the slow Incineroar coming into play. So Mishiimono knows that the Incineroar is slow, just drops the Fight Z onto it. Nothing to worry about. Lightcore probably was supposed to switch his Incineroar into Kartana, and then U-turn out into the Incineroar to prevent the Ice Beam from going onto the Mew. Or onto anything else. I guess Feeney could have come in, but wasn't what I was feeling. And Mishiimono takes the first knockout. People in the chat debating.
Talking about Z-Detect.
Yes, so Z-Detect raises your evasion really strong. And the Kartana's revealed Protect, but it could have Protect and Detect on its moveset. The Protect prevents people from knowing that Z-fighting. The Detect activates the evasion.
I wish that was a thing.
Everyone hopes, still, don't they? Z-Detect was actually a thing in 2017.
Oh yeah, because it's just that I'm using freaking EMZ anyway.
Yeah. Well, you should use Detect in VGC. Protect gets a lot more usage in Doubles OU.
Oh yeah, because you need to knock out 6 Pokemon, you don't just need to knock out 4.
Well, because Imprisons just has no usage. Just 0 usage. And you get a little bit scared of how many Protects you have.
Yeah, I was running low on Protect, and I wasn't able to match their, like, attack. Then they get to benefit more from the attack. Like, it's just good to have that as...
Yeah, more PP is always better. Unless you get Encored. It's nice to have less PP when you're getting Encored. Usually. Join him up with the blindfold on. Mama always asked me. So, I don't know how much... So, the Kartana is obviously threatened, but I think if Lightcore overheats, he's not going to win this game, because I think Latias... Well, Latias is probably targeting down the Kartana, but if I'm Lightcore, I really want to Snarl here.
I would Snarl, and...
I don't like that at all.
Why did he Volt?
I don't like that at all.
What did he Volt switch into?
That's such a bad play. So here's the thing about this play that makes it bad. It's like like the first level is like, oh, you know, Volt Switch Latias, haha, that's so bad. Okay, that Leaf Blade's pretty cool. I would never have made that Leaf Blade play, but that's pretty cool. But the question is, what's he thinking? What's he predicting? What's he predicting? He's predicting Kartana to switch out, right? But the punish for Kartana switching out is Snarl Protect. Because at 2 Snarls, the Latias is going to be doing such little damage that it's not a threat to your Kartana. Snarl Protect is the punish to Latias, to Kartana switch out Latias Ice Beam the Kartana. And so I don't think Lightcore's like, oh look, he made this like brilliant read, but he didn't capitalize on the read that he made. He he has this read, but it doesn't matter if you have the read if you can't appropriately punish the plays that are going to happen. And now Mishiimono let his Landorus get knocked out, but now his Coco is in, and Mew.
Oh wait, no, that's like actually not too terrible.
Kartana's slower than the Latias.
Yeah, no, but basically Zygarde's in, and if it goes and tries to hold switch, the Zygarde gets in and pressures the extremes, and the pressure could be a bit.
The play here from Mishiimono is Dazzling Gleam and Ice Beam the Mew.
He doesn't need to Ice the Mew.
Dazzling Gleam and Ice Beam the Mew, yeah.
Oh, wait, did he burn the Mew's berry?
Yes, he knocked it off. That's why this game is so won.
Oh, yeah, you just stopped the tailwind.
Yes. That's why this early game was so bad for Lightcore, because Mew lost the berry.
For some reason, I kept thinking that Mew continued to have.
Oh, Mew does not have the berry. That is why this is discharge. We see the Latias. The Latias does get paralyzed. I really am not sure this is great for Mishiimono.
He got fully paralyzed.
Got fully paralyzed, and Kartana's gonna take out the Coco. Are we going to see? Are we going to? This was completely outside of my prediction. So. Are we going to see the reversal of outcomes? Will the player who's supposed to lose each game win the games?
But he did this himself.
Yeah. I guess he doesn't have...
He used D-Gleam earlier.
Oh, yeah. No, D-Gleam Ice Beam would have been so good. Because it puts Kartana in Ice Beam range. It KOs the Mew. Like, you lose your Coco, sure. But you KO the Mew, you KO whatever's switching in. Like, it kind of gets fucked by a Feeny switch in, but Feeny's never switching into that Mew slot. So, I don't know. Not sure how I feel about that play.
Actually, like, protects Manectric, like.
So, Kartana... So, the problem is, here, if Kartana goes for a substitute and gets fake... So, Kartana protects... Manectric goes into... So I think if I'm Mishiimono, I want to recover my Latias and switch my Incineroar into Gastrodon. So I can get the second Intimidate on Kartana. I don't think Kartana ever goes for substitute here.
No.
But he actually... Is substitute Snarl a play? I don't know how much Ice Beam from Latias does.
Like, you're relying on... It will go and knock out Kartana.
It will knock out Kartana from 27 at -1.
Yeah. Latias has pretty high special attack.
Okay, so Latias does get the Calm
I
Mind
know Latias has base 140 special attack. Tapu Koko has 95. Sure, it has a life.
Yeah. So Mishiimono correctly predicts that Kartana's protect, fakes out the Manectric, prevents it from snarling or volt switching out, and now in a very strong position to just double down the Kartana. Lightcore can pray for the Parachance by doubling the Incineroar, but
no, you definitely double the Incineroar. There's no reason not to.
Well, the reason not to is...
Sure, Kartana goes down, you then bring
that's just the play you always make. That's just
back in, then the Gastrodon, I think, damage.
Well, what happens if Incineroar goes into Gastrodon here and Mishiimono Ice Beams?
How much damage is Gastrodon at?
It's at full because it recovered.
Oh, it healed to full.
Oh, it's at 60. No, it's at 66%. My bad. It took some
damage.
damage.
Like the Gastrodon. Like, if you get rid of Pokemon, there's not much reason not to take the 25%.
And Latias does take that knockout. And now Gastrodon should just win.
Gastrodon, it'll go for Icy and win. Yeah.
I think you recover. I think you just double recover here. Icy Wind or Ice Beam?
He doesn't have ice.
I think I want to recover with my Gastrodon. No.
You want the
No,
icy
no, no, no,
wind
no,
so
no.
the
I want to
Manectric's
Earth Power the
lower.
Manectric. I want to Earth Power the Manectric. I want to Earth Power the Manectric, and I want to Psy... Oh, no, no, no. That's not good. I want to recover with Gastrodon, and I want to Psyshock the Zygarde.
I can see that.
Because Latias, when it's paralyzed, loses to Tapu Fini. But Gastrodon but Kartana beats it. So I want my Gastrodon to beat the Manectric, but I don't think Manectric is going to get knocked out from here, and I think Gastrodon really needs to stay alive. So I really like this Psyshock. I really like this Recover. I think that was very, very strong from Mishiimono.
I don't know, like, Cal make a correct read.
So I think in that position, I think Lightcore made a really bad play. I think that was supposed to be a Snarl from the Manectric. I think because the problem is that you really need to keep Manectric in to threaten the Kartana. So if Lightcore did that, like, what was he supposed to? Like, Lightcore makes that play, right? Let's say Latias gets full paralyzed. What happens? Oh, next turn he just Moonblasts the Gastrodon and knocks it out. But let's say Gastrodon has Protect, right? It's Recover, Earth Power, Icy Wind, Protect. How does he KO? He just recovers again. He protects with Gastrodon, sacks his Latias.
Did you just give up the Manectric? Couldn't the Gastrodon just gone for Earth Power there?
He was worried about Protect Moonblast, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Thanks for belt, that's it. So now, after this Snarl, I don't get the knockout.
I think he does, if he's Expert Belt.
Oh, if he is.
But I'm worried about the Fini KOing the Gastrodon.
Like, this is Joe's getting to go Protect.
I'm worried about Protect Moonblast, yeah. So if Gastrodon has Protect, you'd like to see it go for it here. It doesn't go for it, but it's a damage roll as to whether it gets knocked out. Latias, however, might be able to take out this Manectric, but not at -1 special attack. I really don't like that Psyshock. I really don't like that Psyshock. That was definitely supposed to be a Calm Mind.
He needs to go keep the KO pressure off the Manectric.
I guess Mishiimono was worried that Earth Power wouldn't KO Manectric at 41%. But I'm just imagining, like, offensive Gastro will do 82% to a Manectric for sure, and Mishiimono just doubles. Gastrodon tanks because the Moonblast gets a 2% lower roll, and that's going to be game 2 for Mishiimono.
Too low.
That was some spaghetti. I'm not gonna lie. I think that, like, based on my knowledge of the first game, based on my knowledge of the team that was used in the first game, I think that Lightcore really, really threw. Like, it wasn't just, it looked like he was up, but actually Genesect was too good. It was Lightcore threw away an advantage that he could have kept.
Yeah, the game was playing 6-5.
Yeah, and he lost 6v5 when the Pokemon lost was Charizard, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Game two was a bit more rough, but I think the big problem.
He played rather well in the matchup.
No, I really don't think he did. So I think the big problem here was that he didn't use Mew the way it was supposed to be used. I think Mew setting up Stealth Rock's turn 1 is just usually the way to go, but he went for Ice Beam, and then he let his Mew get knocked off. I think both of those were really bad plays that led to Lightcore being far behind in the later parts of the game. Mew didn't get the early Tailwind, and that worked out okay. But if Mew had set up Stealth Rocks, the Incineroar would have been chipped, the Koko would have been chipped, the Landorus would have been more chipped. Everything would have just taken a lot more damage. When you switch into Stealth Rocks and you get knocked out, you don't intimidate anything. So there would have been, chances for Incineroar to just get knocked out on the switch-in, would have just taken a ton more damage. Everything would have just been a little bit lower, and that little bit lower, as we know from singles, matters so much.
Yeah. Designer would have been good much earlier.
But I think that's all for tonight.
Would have been more valuable.
So I'm sorry about the quality of the stream, but we'll, try and up the quality over the next while, and I'll see you all later.